This last piece of evidence is so important that I believe it'll point us directly to who the next quarterback of the Vikings will be. Honestly, it's so obvious, it's almost like the Vikings were trying to telegraph the move to the rest of the league. The Minnesota Vikings have just lost Kirk Cousins to the Atlanta Falcons in free agency. He leaves the team finishing top 3 in wins, passing yards, and touchdowns in Vikings history. It's not a stretch to say he was the best Vikings quarterback since Fran Tarkenton was running around for them in the 70s. His departure leaves an obvious question though. Where do the Vikings go from here? If you clicked on this video, you know the right answer is in the draft. But who should they take?
At the time of this recording, which is about a week into free agency, the Vikings have signed Sam Darnold to a 1-year deal. Darnold is a okay backup, but contrary to what Colin Cowherd might think, he is not a franchise quarterback. Darnold has been plagued with turnover problems, even back to his college days at USC, where he threw 13 picks in his last season for the Trojans. In the NFL, he has 81 turnovers to the 63 touchdowns. Pair that with a quarterback rating in the high 70s, and you basically have the anti-Kirk Cousins. Darnold should be expected to be a mentor at best for an incoming high draft pick at quarterback, which is kind of ironic because Darnold's mentor was Josh McCown, who was a QB coach for the Vikings.
While the Darnold signing doesn't directly tell us who's going to be the quarterback of the future for the people in purple, it may actually give us a hint at the Vikings draft plans. Usually good teams like to keep their quarterback rooms similar. That way, if the starting quarterback goes down with an injury, the play caller doesn't have to change up their entire play style to accommodate a quarterback that has a different strength. Think of it like this. If your starting quarterback is Lamar Jackson, a guy known for his running and extending plays, you don't want the backup quarterback to be Jimmy Garoppolo, a guy who can't run to save his life and who needs to get the ball out of his hands quickly. So with that in mind, we need to look at what Darnold does well to try to figure out what that best fits in this draft.
Darnold is known for having a great arm talent. He's able to throw the ball with a bunch of different arm angles, and he can make special wow moments like this.
30-yard pass from Darnold to Berrios on the scramble.
Darnold scrambling for his life, but you look, there's not much room to throw an inaccurate.
He is also known for being fairly mobile. He isn't a guy that's going to blow you away with his speed, but he can keep a play alive if he has to or if he's facing pressure. So right off the bat, we can kind of get rid of a couple quarterbacks from this draft class then. First is Caleb. Caleb Williams is likely going to be the first overall pick to the Bears. And next we have Jaden Daniels. Daniels has a play style that's somewhat similar to Justin Fields or Lamar Jackson. So while he is a good passer, what really sets him apart from other quarterbacks is his ability to create with his legs. He can turn a dead play into a highlight reel with the ability to take off and extend plays. That doesn't really fit with the quarterback room that KOC has in place right now, nor does it fit the offensive system. So who does that leave us with? Well, with ruling out Williams and Daniels, we are down to 3 potential first-round quarterbacks. First is J.J. McCarthy, second is Drake Maye, and third is Bo Nix. The next logical step would look at the coaching staff to see if we can pull away any answers about the Vikings quarterback's plans from them.
First thing we notice, Kevin O'Connell loves to attack the middle of the field. Over the last 3 years, the Vikings have finished in the top half of the league in attempts in that intermediate range. So we're looking at 10 to 19 yards down the field. Cousins even finished first in 2022 in attempts, as well as on his way to repeating that performance again this past season before he went down with an injury. So that tells us already we can probably rule out Bo Nix. Bo had over 65% of his passing attempts go for 9 yards or less the last 2 seasons at Oregon, with 28% of all of his passing attempts being behind the line of scrimmage. Not really the downfield passer KOC would be looking for, so that narrows the list down to 2 guys, Drake Maye and J.J. McCarthy. But there's one last piece of crucial evidence on the coaching staff. This last piece of evidence is so important then I believe it'll point us directly to who the next quarterback of the Vikings will be. Honestly, it's so obvious, it's almost like the Vikings were trying to telegraph the move to the rest of the league. Before we reveal who the Vikings' next franchise quarterback is going to be, though, don't forget to like the video and hit the subscribe button. And with that shameless call to action out of the way, drum roll please. The next quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings will be Drake Maye. Josh McCown actually coached Maye when he was at Miles Park High School, where he threw for over 3,500 yards and 50 touchdowns his senior year. McCown was the Panthers quarterback coach last year and was fired essentially because he was on the wrong side of the Bryce Young-CJ Stroud debate. David Tepper wanted Young, and McCown preferred CJ Stroud, the tall, big-armed quarterback that was mobile enough to extend plays. Sound familiar to anybody? Minnesota brought McCown in because he is already familiar with Maye, having coached him before, and could more than likely get the most out of the raw quarterback. Sam Darnold will act as the bridge quarterback and will mentor Drake for his first season before Maye takes over in 2025.
So there you go, Viking fans. Looking at more than just the simple connection between McCown and Drake Maye, there's a lot of different evidence to support this theory. But tell us what you all think. Do you think the Vikings can draft Drake Maye, or do you want them to draft someone else? Until next time, it's been the RFL Show.